Have you ever wondered why the moment you start changing for the better, people begin to disappear from your life? Like leaves falling from a tree in autumn, they drift away, and you're left wondering if you're the one who's lost something or if they are. Tell me in the comments, who was the first person you lost when you started becoming more aware of yourself? The moment of awakening arrives like a whisper in a storm. You don't see it coming, yet it's been there all along, waiting in the quiet corners of your soul. One day, you look around and the world feels different. The conversations you once cherished now sound like static. The laughter you shared feels hollow, like echoes in a house you've outgrown. People, friends, lovers, family begin to fade, not because they've left, but because you have. You're not losing them, you're waking up. It begins with a single crack in the glass of your reality. A question slips through. Why am I here? Not in the grand cosmic sense, but in this room, with these people, in this version of yourself. You notice the weight of their words, the way they pull you back into patterns you no longer fit. You try to explain it, but the words tangle. You're not angry, not bitter, just distant. Like a traveler who's crossed a border and can no longer read the signs. This is the awakening. It's not a thunderclap or a burst of light. It's softer, subtler, like the first drop of rain before a deluge. You feel it in your bones, a quiet knowing that the life you've been living is a costume, and it's starting to itch. You don't yet know who you're becoming, but you know who you're not. And that knowing shifts everything. The first to drift away are often the loudest, the ones who filled your days with noise, laughter, arguments, endless plans. You loved them once, and maybe you still do, but their voices now feel like a radio tuned to the wrong station. You listen, but you're not there. You nod, but your heart is elsewhere, chasing a signal only you can hear. You wonder if you're broken, if you've done something wrong. Why does their presence feel like absence? Why does their closeness make you feel alone? This is the paradox of awakening. The more you see, the less you belong. The people you once clung to, those who mirrored your fears, your doubts, your masks, begin to feel like shadows. Not because they've changed, but because you have. Your energy is shifting, like a river carving a new path through stone. Some will follow the current, others will stay on the shore, waving as you drift out of sight. You mourn them at first. The ache is real, sharp as a blade. You replay conversations, searching for the moment you lost them. Was it something you said? Something you didn't say? You sit in the silence of their absence, and it feels like a punishment. But what if it's not? What if this solitude is the first gift of your awakening? What if the space they've left behind is the room you need to grow? Awakening is not a destination, it's a departure. You're stepping out of the story you've been told to live, the one that says you must please, perform, belong, the one that says your worth is measured by how many hands hold yours. But as you wake, you see the strings, the expectations, the compromises, the quiet lies you told to keep the peace, and you begin to cut them, one by one. This cutting is not cruel. It's not a rejection of others, but a reclamation of yourself. Yet it hurts. It hurts to see their faces fade, to feel the distance grow. You wonder if you're selfish, if you're betraying them by choosing this path. But the truth hums beneath your doubt. You're not abandoning them. You're abandoning the version of you that no longer fits. And sometimes, that version was the only one they knew. You walk through this strange new world, half awake, half lost. The air feels thinner, the colors sharper. You notice things you never saw before, the way a stranger's smile carries a story, the way the wind speaks in riddles. But you also notice the silence, the spaces where voices used to be. It's not loneliness, not yet. It's something else, a quiet that asks you to listen. Imagine a seed buried in the dark. It doesn't know why the earth presses so tightly around it. It doesn't know why the warmth it once knew is gone. All it knows is the urge to break free, to push upward, to find the light. That's you in this moment. The people who drift away are not your enemies. They're not your failures. They're the soil you're outgrowing, the shell you're shedding. Their leaving is not a loss, it's a sign you're moving towards something truer. But oh, the confusion. It wraps around you like fog. You question everything, your choices, your heart, your sanity. You wonder if you're imagining it, if you're making it all up. Why does their laughter sting now? Why do their words feel like weights? You try to hold on, to pull them back, but your hands are full of sand. The harder you grip, the faster it slips away. This is the first lesson of awakening. You cannot hold what is not yours. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're becoming something else. Your soul is stretching, reaching for a frequency they may not hear. And that's okay. They don't need to understand. They don't need to follow. Their path is theirs, and yours is yours. The divergence is not a wound, it's a map. You stand at the edge of this awakening, and the world feels vast, too vast, perhaps. The faces you once knew are still there, but they're distant, like stars in a daylight sky. You see them, but you can't touch them. And yet, in this distance, there's a strange peace. A quiet voice within you whispers, "This is right. This is necessary." You're not losing people, you're finding yourself. The journey has just begun. The road ahead will lead you through solitude, through acceptance, through a new way of being. But for now, you stand in the awakening, feeling the weight and the wonder of it all. You're not alone, not really. The universe is watching, breathing with you, guiding you toward the light you've always carried. When you look back at your journey, who did you lose that actually helped you find yourself? This is only the beginning. In part 2, the isolation, we'll explore the stillness that follows, the sacred solitude that shapes who you're becoming. Stay with me. Something deeper is yet to come. Have you ever felt the world grow quiet, as if it's holding its breath, waiting for you to catch up with yourself? In the wake of awakening, solitude creeps in, not as a punishment, but as a strange, sacred gift. Tell me in the comments, what was the first moment you felt truly alone, and how did it change you? The awakening has left its mark. You felt the shift, the subtle crack in the mirror of your old life. People have drifted, their voices fading like a song you can no longer sing. And now, here you are, standing in the quiet. This is the isolation. Not a void, but a canvas. Not a loss, but a space where you begin to hear your own voice. It arrives without fanfare. One morning, you wake to a stillness that feels both heavy and light. The phone is silent. The invitations have slowed. The laughter that once filled your days has softened to a hum, distant and faint. You walk through familiar places, but they feel foreign, as if the world has tilted just slightly off its axis. You're not sure if you're lost or found, but you know this. The silence is yours. This solitude is not the loneliness you feared. It's sharper, deeper, like the hush of a forest before dawn. You sit with it, and it sits with you. At first, you resist. You reach for distractions, old habits, old voices, anything to fill the space. But the space persists, patient, unyielding. It asks you to look at it, to listen, to be. Isolation is a mirror. It shows you the edges of yourself you've never dared to see. The fears you buried, the dreams you tucked away, the truths you've whispered only in the dark. In the absence of others, you meet yourself raw, unfiltered, trembling with possibility. This meeting is not gentle. It's a collision, a reckoning. You see the masks you wore to belong, the compromises you made to be seen, and you see, too, the light within you, flickering, waiting to burn brighter. You wander through this quiet, and it feels like exile. The world moves on without you, friends post pictures, families gather, life hums along. But you're here, in this stillness, tracing the contours of your soul. You wonder if you've gone too far, if you've wandered too deep into yourself. What if you never find your way back? But then, a whisper. What if this is the way forward? This is the paradox of isolation. It feels like a cage, yet it's a key. It strips you bare, yet it sets you free. You're not hiding from the world, you're diving into it, into the vast, uncharted world within you. The people who've drifted away aren't gone because you failed. They're gone because their role in your story has shifted. They were the scaffolding, not the structure. And now, in this quiet, you begin to build. Imagine a seed, split open in the dark. It doesn't know why the earth is so vast, so silent. It only knows the pull to grow, to reach upward through the weight of the unknown. That's you now. The isolation is your soil, rich and heavy. It holds you, not to trap you, but to root you. The silence is not empty. It's alive with questions, with possibilities, with the hum of your becoming. Yet the weight of it presses. You miss the noise, the chaos, the ease of belonging. You miss the hands that held you, even if they held you back. You wonder if you're wrong, if this solitude is a mistake. You pace the edges of your mind, searching for a door back to the way things were. But the door is gone. Or perhaps it was never there. The only way out is through. Through the quiet, you begin to hear. Not the voices of others, but your own. It's faint at first, a murmur beneath the doubt, but it grows. It speaks of desires you've forgotten, truths you've ignored. It asks you to sit still, to breathe, to trust. This voice is not new. It's been there all along, waiting for the noise to fade. In this isolation, time bends. Days stretch long, nights longer. You walk alone, but not aimlessly. Each step is a question, each breath an answer. You notice the world in ways you never did before. The way light spills through a window, the way a stranger's sigh carries a story. The world is still here, but you see it differently. You're not separate from it, you're deeper in it, woven into its quiet pulse. This is not loneliness, though it wears its face. Loneliness longs for others. This solitude longs for you. It's a carving, a shaping, a shedding of what no longer fits. You're not losing people, you're losing the need to cling. You're not drifting, you're anchoring. The isolation is teaching you to stand, not in defiance, but in truth. And yet, the ache remains. It's okay to feel it. It's okay to grieve the ones who've left, the life you've outgrown. The ache is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. It's the stretch of your soul reaching for something vaster. You're not alone in this. The universe is here, in the quiet, whispering, keep going. You're almost home. The isolation is not the end. It's a passage, a bridge to something deeper. You're learning to carry your own light, to trust your own steps. The people who've faded, the spaces they've left, these are not wounds, but windows. Through them, you see yourself, perhaps for the first time. As you sit in this stillness, you feel it, a stirring, a softening, a sense that the worst of the loneliness is passing. Something is waiting on the other side, not a return to the past, but a step toward peace. The isolation is not your destination, it's your preparation. What did the silence teach you when you dared to listen? Have you ever stood in the quiet of your own heart and felt a peace so deep it scared you? After the awakening and the isolation, there comes a moment when you stop fighting the silence and start breathing with it. Tell me in the comments, what was the first moment you felt at peace with who you're becoming? The isolation has carved you, hollowed you out, and left you raw. You've wandered through the quiet, felt the ache of absence, and heard the faint hum of your own voice rising. Now, something shifts. The air feels softer, the edges less sharp. This is the acceptance, not a surrender, but a homecoming. You're not losing people anymore. You're finding yourself. It begins with a pause, a breath, a moment when you stop running from the stillness and turn to face it. The world is still there, humming its endless song, but you're no longer chasing it. You're no longer trying to fit into spaces that no longer hold you. Instead, you stand where you are, and for the first time, it feels enough. You feel enough. This acceptance is not loud. It's not a victory cry or a burst of clarity. It's a whisper, a settling, like dust after a storm. You look at the people who've drifted, the lives you've left behind, and you don't ache as fiercely. You don't resent their leaving or your own changing. You see it now. Their departure was not a theft, but a gift. They made space for you to meet yourself. In this moment, you begin to forgive. Not just them, but you. You forgive the version of yourself that clung too tightly, that bent to fit, that stayed too long in places that dimmed your light. You forgive the doubts, the fears, the nights you wondered if you'd lost your way. You see now that every step, every tear, every quiet moment was leading you here to this soft, steady ground. Acceptance is a paradox. It's not about giving up, it's about letting in. It's about opening your hands, releasing the need to control, to explain, to be understood. You stop asking why they left. You stop asking why you changed. Instead, you ask, who am I now? And the answer comes not in words, but in feeling. In the way your breath flows easier, your heart beats steadier. You're not whole yet, but you're no longer broken. You walk through the world differently now. The streets are the same, the face is familiar, but you carry a quiet within you. It's not the heavy silence of isolation, but a living quiet, like the hush of a river finding its course. You notice the small things, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your own steps. You smile at strangers, not to please them, but because you feel the spark of your own aliveness. Imagine a tree, its roots deep in the earth, its branches reaching for the sky. It doesn't mourn the leaves that fall. It doesn't chase the wind that carries them away. It stands, rooted, trusting the seasons of its own growth. That's you now. The acceptance is your roots, anchoring you in the truth of who you are. The people who've left, the ones who stayed, they're all part of your seasons, not your essence. This doesn't mean the pain is gone. There are still moments when the ache returns, when you miss the voices that once filled your days. But the ache is softer now, less like a wound and more like a memory. You hold it gently, like a stone smoothed by a river. You don't need to carry it forever. You can set it down. In this acceptance, you find a new kind of love. Not the loud, grasping love of before, but a quiet, steady love for yourself, for the world, for the journey itself. You see the beauty in your own unfolding, in the way you've grown through the cracks of your old life. You see the beauty in others, too, even those who've drifted. You love them not for who you wanted them to be, but for who they are, where they are. This love is your strength. It's not dependent on others' presence or approval. It's a flame within you, burning steady, lighting your way. You begin to trust it. You begin to trust yourself. The questions that once haunted you, am I enough? Am I on the right path? Start to fade. Not because you have all the answers, but because you no longer need them. You are the answer, unfolding with every breath. The world feels different now, not smaller, but closer. You're no longer separate from it, no longer a stranger in your own life. You walk with a quiet confidence, not because you know where you're going, but because you know who you're becoming. The people who remain, the ones who see you now, they reflect this new light. And those who don't, you let them go, not with anger, but with grace. This is the gift of acceptance, peace, not the absence of pain, but the presence of trust. You trust the path, the process, the quiet unfolding of your soul. You trust that the losses were not losses, but clearings. You trust that the solitude was not exile, but preparation. And you trust that you are enough, just as you are in this moment. The acceptance is not the end. It's a threshold, a doorway to a life, lived consciously, fully, with others and with yourself. You're not running anymore. You're not hiding. You're here, present, alive. The journey continues, and it's leading you somewhere new, not back to the noise, but forward to a harmony you're only beginning to hear. What was the moment you realized you didn't need to be anything other than yourself? What does it feel like to live fully as yourself, not just in solitude, but in the world with others? After awakening, isolation, and acceptance, you step into a new way of being, whole, present, connected. Tell me in the comments, how have you begun to live more authentically, and who has joined you on this path? The integration is a dance. You've awakened, faced the silence, and embraced your truth. Now, you weave this truth into the world not as a mask, but as a melody. You're not returning to the old ways. You're creating new ones, harmonizing your inner light with the outer world. It starts small. A conversation where you speak from your heart, not your habits. A choice to stay true, even when it's uncomfortable. You notice who stays, who sees you now, not the old you, but this radiant, unfolding self. These connections feel different, deeper, freer, like rivers meeting without losing their flow. Integration is not about fitting in. It's about belonging to yourself, to the moment, to the universe. You carry your peace into crowded rooms, your quiet into noisy streets. You listen, not to please, but to understand. You love, not to hold, but to share. The people who resonate with this new frequency draw near. They're not replacements for those you lost. They're mirrors of who you're becoming. Yet, there are moments of tension. Old patterns tug, old voices whisper, doubt. You stumble, but you don't fall. You've learned to trust the rhythm of your own soul. The world is no longer a stage to perform on. It's a canvas, and you're painting with every choice, every breath. Imagine a tree, its roots deep, its branches wide. It doesn't chase the birds that perch or mourn those that fly away. It stands, offering shade, sharing its air. That's you now, rooted, open, alive. You're not losing people anymore. You're living fully as yourself. How has living authentically changed the way you connect with others? This is the end of the journey, but only the beginning of your story. Keep shining. The world needs your light.